Alright, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my WWE NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view predictions. So, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and we are hitting the last stops on the road to WrestleMania. And the final stop, the last show before WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, will be NXT's Stand and Deliver pay-per-view. So I do believe this is going to be a great pay-per-view card. I do believe they're going to live up to the hype and the expectations that are set for WrestleMania weekend. I think all the respective wrestlers on the black and gold brand are going to do their thing. This is my pay-per-view prediction. So starting off with the NXT Championship match, we have Ilya Dragunov taking on Tony D'Angelo for the NXT Championship. Now, I really like the fact that Tony D'Angelo is back in the main event scene. It's been some time since we've seen Tony D'Angelo in the main event scene on the black and gold brand, but he was pushed early in his NXT days when he first debuted onto the roster on the NXT 2.0 relaunch. If you guys look at Tony D'Angelo's history, he was a part of that War Games match in the end of 2021 where you had the NXT 2.0 roster taking on the NXT OGs, and Tony D'Angelo was a part of that. And Tony D'Angelo also had his WrestleMania weekend moment early in his career at NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view in Dallas when he went one-on-one with Tommaso Ciampa and actually beat Tommaso Ciampa in that match. So he's been pushed before as a singles competitor. He's back to that, and we're going to see what he could do against Ilya Dragunov in this match. But this should be a hard-hitting fight, a hard-hitting match between Ilya Dragunov and Tony D'Angelo. And Ilya Dragunov, man, that man is special. I mean, he's a hard-hitting wrestler, a throwback guy. Them European guys that come from across the seas are tremendous wrestlers. But Ilya Dragunov is everything you want in a wrestler, and he's definitely one hell of a seller in that wrestling ring. So I do believe they're going to have one hell of a match. And I do believe that Ilya Dragunov is going to retain his NXT Championship. However, I would not be surprised if they go at a different route and they decide to put the title on Tony D'Angelo. And Tony D'Angelo wins the NXT Championship with Ilya Dragunov moving up to the main roster, potentially the Raw after WrestleMania. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go with a big title change here, but I'm going to go with Ilya Dragunov to successfully retain his NXT Championship. So then moving on to the next match. Now, we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match. As I record this segment, we have not yet gotten to the NXT episode because I'm recording this on Sunday. NXT is on Tuesdays. So we don't know who's going to face Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin for the NXT titles at Stand and Deliver. But with that triple threat #1 contender match, I'm going to predict that the OC, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson win that match. So I do believe that we're going to see Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker versus the OC of Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson for the NXT Tag Team titles. So I do believe that even if they don't go with Gallows and Anderson, whether it's Axiom and Nathan Frazier or whether it's the LWO, it's going to be an exciting tag team match on the NXT Stand and Deliver card. But I do believe that Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker will successfully retain their NXT tag team titles against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. And now, I do believe that time is up for Braun Breaker in NXT. He's done everything you need to do. He's a two-time NXT champion. Held the title for over a year. He's done really everything. And also unified the NXT and the NXT UK title as well. And he's a NXT Tag Team Champion now. And he won the Dusty Cup Tag Team Tournament. So there's nothing left for Braun Breaker to do. So what I think they're going to do is Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin retain the titles. And that following Tuesday, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin vacate the NXT Tag Team titles on that Tuesday of NXT. Following the Stand and Deliver, they vacate the titles. Braun Breaker goes to the Friday Night SmackDown to be a full participant on the main roster. And they potentially do a tag team tournament for the vacant NXT tag team titles. That's what I think that's going to happen. For the next match, we have Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, I like how NXT made Roxanne Perez, the young prodigy, a heel. And it was a much-needed heel turn because you guys know, for all wrestling fans out there watching and listening, when it gets to a point where a character needs a character change, we all know whether it's a face turn, a heel turn, the character just gets repetitive. I think that's what Roxanne Perez was as a babyface. Now, she's made this storyline interesting since turning heel and becoming more wicked on her quest to becoming an NXT Women's Champion again. So, I like that. And Lyra Valkyria, my thoughts on her NXT Women's Championship reign, it just hasn't hit. And what I mean by that, I don't think it's lived up to the hype and the expectations that I had for her when she was the one that beat Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship. I thought that when she beat Becky Lynch, it meant something, a passing of the torch, if you want, that type of moment. And I thought her title reign was going to be special. But to me, it hasn't lived up to the hype and my expectations after beating one of the 4 horsewomen in women's history in Becky Lynch. So both Lyra and Roxanne Perez had a good match at Vengeance Day until Lola Vice cashed in her contract to make that match a triple threat match. So they already give us a glance of what the future could hold. So I think from what they gave us at Vengeance Day, we're going to be in store for a great match at Stand and Deliver. But with that being said, I do believe that Roxanne Perez will become the new NXT Women's Champion when she will defeat I get tongue-tied. Valkyria in that match. And I do believe she is going to become the new NXT Women's Champion. So the next match, we have Oba Femi versus Dijak versus Josh Briggs in a triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. Now, this triple threat match can truly steal the show because you have 3 talented heavyweights in Oba Femi, Dijak, and Josh Briggs. So do not be surprised when it's all said and done, when this match is the talk of the town on what was the best match on the whole entire NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view card. Now, my thoughts on Oba Femi being a former college athlete has made a great transition from being a college athlete to going to the WWE, being a performer in the sports and entertainment world. And Oba Femi, the way I was being booked by Shawn Michaels in NXT, has absolutely been perfect so far. They're grooming him to be a future star on the main roster. He's already had a great match with Dragon Lee and his NXT Championship reign. That coming at NXT Vengeance Day. So Oba Femi, I think that man's going to be worth a lot of bucks in the future. He's already looking great to me as a young star with that North American title. And you look at Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs is starting to gain momentum. He's becoming more confident as a single star, being a former NXT UK Tag Team Champion. And then you have Dijak, who's truly just worked his ass off for years in NXT. Has had a lot of memorable moments, especially those matches back in the day with Keith Lee. Man, those matches were truly special. Yes, Dijak has always been a great competitor. But I expect this match to be great, this triple threat to be great, and I do believe there's going to be a lot of great spots in this triple threat match. But I do believe that Oba Femi will retain his NXT North American title against Josh Briggs and Dijak in this triple threat match. And when it's all said and done after this match, Dijak definitely needs to be called up to the main roster. He could definitely be a great addition to the Monday Night Raw or the Friday Night SmackDown roster. He's worked his ass off in NXT for years. They give this man a chance. There's something for him to do on the main roster. And he would be a great addition to either the red or blue brand after WrestleMania weekend. So then, we got the main event. We have Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams. Now, I give credit to both Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. Both have been the bread and butter to the NXT 2.0 relaunch that happened in the later part of 2021 when NXT did a big relaunch to the brand, where they looked for new stars to help the brand grow. And Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams have definitely helped NXT get back to that point of being an important brand. Hell, making it feel like a third brand to Raw and SmackDown from the work that Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams have done over the years on the Black and Gold brand. They definitely deserve their flowers. Carmelo Hayes has been a main event caliber star. Trick Williams has grown before our eyes to be that guy as well. And the storyline of Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, this has the vibes of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa vibes written all over it, best friends turning into bitter enemies. This is exactly what this storyline has been between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. I love how NXT is making this feud feel very important between the two respective wrestlers that will be two future stars on the main roster one day. But I do believe they're going to have an incredible match, and I do believe that Trick Williams will be the one with his hand raised, defeating his former best friend and Carmelo Hayes in the main event of NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view. Trick Williams needs this win. After this weekend, after WrestleMania weekend, he could be pushed to be the #1 guy in NXT. Meanwhile, Carmelo Hayes doesn't need this win. He's already done it all in NXT. Former NXT champion, former North American champion, former Cruiserweight champion. Carmelo Hayes is ready for the main roster. Let's give Trick Williams his moment that he truly deserves to be a star on the Black and Gold brand. And you could do that by giving him a great win at NXT Stand and Deliver. But those are my NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view predictions for this weekend coming up for WrestleMania weekend.